natural. Like I should be doing this more often. But
Good. Thank you for that. What
yeah,
was
no,
that?
thank you. That was
vodka?
that was just a little vodka. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice, easy morning
Well,
drink.
so I think, for me, I really just, because our heads are in the same space.
Yes.
I think a lot of the people that we're going to have on this podcast really fall into 4 categories. And you and I were talking about this a
Yes.
while back. Health.
Yep.
Because, health, we got to be healthy.
Yeah.
Ethos.
Yep.
Kind of the, what do we do? What are we living life for? Are we here by design? Are we here on accident? Is
Yeah.
it chaos theory? Whatever. Love or relationships.
Yes.
It's a big one. And then money.
Yes.
And so I kind of coined the idea of HELM theory, HELM.
Okay.
So people, if you think of HELM, let me ask you, what do you think when I say the word HELM?
I'm interested to learn about it because, like I said, I think a lot of people also realize that
What comes to mind when
Yeah.
I say just the word helm? What do you immediately think of? You think of a guy at a ship, right? Like
yeah, I
steering
think of a
boat.
guy. Yes, I think of a
Yeah.
guy leading something.
Exactly. So that's
Yes.
kind of where we said, all right, if we can be like this helm theory, that if we can land on, because I feel like everything falls into those 4 categories. No matter what it is, it's whatever story they have. It's about relationships. Could be marriage, could be siblings, could be kids, grandparents, friends, whatever. It always comes down to money, or it comes down to what's your purpose? What are you doing? Why are you fighting in this war? Why are you building a business? And then health. Obviously, I don't know if this was super healthy, but it was super
we gotta be here.
healthy for my soul. So
Yeah. So my thought is always too that I feel like we have the opportunity to, because honestly, like Stephen, you and I don't really know each other.
right,
So this is our actually first time that we've actually had to sit down and have a conversation more than, hey, let's start a podcast.
right.
So now we get to work on building a relationship with each other.
Yeah.
Our families.
So
our friends.
you're
Yeah.
married, right?
Yes, I'm married. I have
Okay.
4 little kids.
4 kids.
Yeah, and
What
you
ages?
are too.
Yeah.
So my kiddos, my oldest is 13. I have 3 little boys. My Sayer, he just turned 11 yesterday, which is awesome. Happy birthday, Sarah. My daughter, my only princess, she's 8, and then I have a little guy. He's 5. His name's Bowen. And so
You got a crew, man.
and then you have 2. I see him here all the time, but like I said, I know nothing about him. So this podcast.
Other than they're growing every single time.
Yeah,
they
they're
get in.
way taller than I
Ashton's
am,
like
and-
6'4".
Yeah.
Riker's 5'11", I think now.
Yeah.
Age 14, Ashton's 16.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you, like you said, this has been in business for 11 years?
Yeah.
What made you decide I want to go start a pizza place? Like how do you come up with the idea and say, I'm going to start a pizza place?
Yeah, I think just a lot of a trial and error, right? I think what happens is doesn't matter where you went to high school, doesn't matter what you did for college, doesn't matter how many corporate jobs you've had or any job for that matter. One day you just kind of sit here and try to figure out, and I thought about this on the way here today because I knew that this was an improv podcast, so we don't really have a script, and so it's just me thinking a lot about how I'm going to answer some of these questions,
Yeah.
and what we're even going to talk about. And I thought about this actually. So my thought was always that I'm in a business where a lot of people they will tell you all the time that I'm doing what I do for a living because it makes me happy, and I don't feel like that's an honest answer.
Oh, that's good. Let's dig.
Yes.
Unpack that, yeah.
Yes. I feel like, you get a lot of opportunities to figure out what you want to do for a living. And that's the money side of what you're talking about, right?
Right.
What can I do with my skill set that can provide for, at first, it's just myself.
Right.
Then it's possibly myself and my partner, my wife. And then all of a sudden you start having a family and you don't even know if you can have a family to begin with, but you got to start somewhere. And
Right.
and for me personally, I just don't plan very far ahead. I don't wear a watch or a ring for a reason because I'm gonna lose it. I don't know what time it is. I really don't care. So
So kind of not to make it this cheesy YOLO, you only live once mindset of day to day, but
Yeah.
so how far ahead do you think you plan?
I try to plan. Everybody has an idea of like you want to plan for 5 years, 10 years, your whole
where am
life.
I going to
your
be in a
grandkids,
month?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and all that, you don't realize that it changes overnight. Because, you don't get to control, what happens to you. I could leave this parking lot today and get hit by a car or get in a bad wreck or something happens, and that shouldn't change the dynamic of the fact that this restaurant's still going to be here for all the guys that work here, and this restaurant's not going to be here for the people that rely on it, which would be my wife's gonna have to figure something out
Yeah.
about this restaurant, somebody to help her, and so I don't want that dynamic to change. And the thought of this restaurant is, you hear a lot of business owners say, hey, you get into a business, you need to be there all the time. You have
It's
to,
hard. I mean, and not
Yeah.
gonna lie, like the
Yeah.
restaurant industry is tough to. I mean, I've never really per se worked at a restaurant, but I've heard
In any
it's,
business,
Yeah,
I should say, yeah.
it's 10 years. They
Yeah,
said no, you
in-
got to be
yeah.
there. If you start the business, you got to be there 10 years
Yeah.
running it before
Yeah.
you can actually step away.
in
and
any
say-
business, any profession, I feel like if you don't put your time into it and your soul and your passion into it, and you don't actually, and I'm not saying that, I guess what I'm trying to say is you don't have to love what you do.
Right.
I think at the end of the day, you have to find a way to be happy with what you do.
Yeah.
And so like, again, bring back to this point of like, everybody says, oh, I'm doing this job because I love it.
Dude, if I
mean,
was
good luck.
water skiing 40 hours a week,
Yeah.
every week, I would hate it. Like
Good
it's,
luck.
I mean, you
Yeah.
probably see me on the commercials and stuff. I'm
Yeah.
an actor.
Yeah.
But if I had to act, I mean, I don't know. If I had to act full time every day, I would burn out.
I think the reward for me at the end of the day is that, and I'm not saying that I don't love this job. I'm just saying that the best part of my day is to know that I'm coming here, to know that my staff is going to be here, the customers will be here,
Right.
and everybody has a place where they can connect. And nobody knows, like what the future holds. And so who knows if we're going to be here tomorrow, right?
Right.
So as we're here and we're, in live and living color, you get to meet people, you get to communicate, I spend all my time talking to people every day. When I get home, my wife always teases me that like, anytime there's a party, she takes me with her because I'm willing to sit here and talk to anybody. And I think, and you're the same, Stephen. That's one thing I do know about you is that
It's a general curiosity about people. I
Yeah.
mean, I love people.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know, like,
Yeah.
tell me about yourself.
and this is part of my day.
Right.
It helps me, make my day go by in a way that I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I like making a difference. I would like to think that every day we get to make a positive impact on somebody.
Yeah.
And that's not in every job. That's not in every industry, especially in restaurants. So coming up, back to your point of how I got here, why I wanted to do a restaurant was I've worked in a lot of different jobs. I've had a few, as myself, I consider myself to be more of like actually at the end of the day, I tell people all the time that I make pizza and pour beer.
I love it.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that's awesome.
With everybody else that works here. I work just as hard today as I did for any other business owner I've worked for in the past. That has never changed. The only difference is now I feel like we get to run a restaurant in a respectful, kind manner where everybody feels like they want to be part of something.
Yeah.
And then hopefully that'll encourage them to, someday go on and do something else, whether it's in this facet of a restaurant, in this industry, or in something else. It'll encourage them to move on and do something else, whether it's become a teacher, finish their education, start, another business in any other, pursue music, pursue their interest. You can do it.
So that kind of that whole mantra, I
Yeah.
guess. I mean, do you think you would ever continue to franchise and say, hey, we're going to have 1,000 Brothers Office pizzas around the country and kind of hone in on that? Okay, we're going to always keep it family.
No,
or is that more only possible because it's you and you're here?
So the deal there is in the beginning, if you think about being a selfish individual, which everybody is, right?
we're all
Yes.
selfish. Yeah.
So you think, oh man, I'm going to do this. We're gonna create like 100 of these. We're gonna be rich. Well, people don't really understand that like business owners in general, especially restaurants, the margins are thin.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and it's not like Steve, you guys come here, you know what's up. Like we don't sit here and pump the numbers. We don't.
No, you guys
We want
give
people-
good pours too. That's what we.
No, and we want people.
My wife says prosecco.
here-
I'm like, oh, we'll get a bigger pour. We
Yeah.
go to Jimmie's.
Yeah. Well, we want people here who want to be part of this place, who want to pass their time with us,
Yeah.
right? And enjoy their time here. We're not rushing anybody out the door.
Yeah.
We're not, and the thought there is that we don't really answer the phone very well because one, you really can't hear it. Two, you're focused on the people that sit in front of you.
Yeah.
You really are. So the thought there is, why would you go out of your way to advertise and send, many flyers into the neighborhood when if you did that, you would disappoint a lot of people who walk through the doors and then feel like they're not being included or they're not welcomed here. I think
Right.
everybody's welcomed here. We're a very inclusive place. We have
No, this place in
Yeah.
the summertime
Yeah.
too is always busy. I mean, you guys roll up the garage doors, and it's you can't come here where there's the parking lot's not pretty much packed.
Yeah. So the thought here is, like I said, is it's not about being a super packed restaurant. It's about being a place where people enjoy enough to continue to tell their friends about, and hopefully they'll bring them here, right? A place where you feel comfortable with the staff, with the people, with the quality of food. We do the best we can with that. Who are understanding when it's busy, and like you walk in here, we are a small restaurant. We see 50 at best. We're extremely slow to the draw. I mean, we're going to get you a drink. We're going to keep it coming the best we can. If it gets busy, hopefully everybody's, learned how to be very understanding of, like, we're doing the best we can.
But you guys
Yeah.
are awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
Rachel and I, we eat out a lot.
Yeah.
We probably eat out 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
And these guys are like freaking, like Sean back there. I know the camera can't see him. He's a machine, man.
Yeah.
It's like I could be taking my last sip of beer,
Yeah.
and he's like right there.
Yeah. Here's another one.
Yeah, Grayson, Devin,
Yeah.
Jamie.
Yeah. We're so grateful. We have a phenomenal staff. We always have. And everybody's empowered
Yeah.
to be in charge. So when I'm here with them and I'm in the kitchen and they're in the front of the house, it's their restaurant. I will ask them, if they need any help. First and foremost, I'm not going to step over their toes.
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and correct them. It's not my job. My job is that we have a space where they feel comfortable being who they are, and we want to empower them.
Yeah. Well, I kind of want to bring it back to that whole thing, the leadership idea of you've got, I mean, you probably got a lot of people that you want to bring on, and so do I. And so I'm excited to, like, okay, well, who's somebody you're thinking of that we can say, all right, and what do you think is going to be the impact for somebody that you bring them on this podcast, just so they can share their story, and that other people can say, wow, okay, you're going through this, I'm going through this also. Like, where do you see this going?
So my thought is, I have a lot of good friends who've worked in restaurants, who've started from nothing, who are now in a better position than they have been, whether they've taken a different job in the food service industry or outside the food service industry, but mostly.
That shot feels good, by the way.
Yeah,
It's like my
it feels
tummy's
great.
nice and warm. Yeah.
I'm ready to rock, So
Might have to do one
that
more.
want to share a
Might have to
story
do one more, yeah.
about, I want them to tell us, kind of where they started and what got them to moving on,
Yeah.
and doing something else that benefits them or their family. And also at the same time, they have great stories.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends with great stories, whether they can say it or not, and people want to hear it or not, about the honesty of working in a restaurant.
Do you have any examples? You don't have to name names or anything. But
So
just,
I have a great friend who's always been a great bartender, who's now realized one day that he wants more than the life of being a bartender, because he started having family. So he worked his way up through a food salesman company, and a big distributor here in town, actually one of the largest few in the United States. And so now I would like him to share with me his stories of witnessing, like, other bartenders and other employees, and anything from, as bad as it sounds, like all the theft that you see behind a bar from a bartender, a server, a bar manager.
So like
to
the
life
bartender stealing
experience.
cash, or like just
No, just anything and everything. Like anything that he has a great story about, whether it's a nice bottle of wine that they dropped, or a nice bottle of liquor that they took home, or like how they came up through the food industry, and what made them want to do something different, or more, or still that can contribute to what we do. But I want the honest truth.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, nobody's here to punish you. You're not going to lose your job now because hopefully, a story that you gave. But I want to know, like, all the bar fights, all the people you've kicked out, all the late nights you've had, all the great times you've had.
Right.
Being young, and meeting people, and just give us a background of, like,